Hello, my name's Conrad, the head tutor of Greenhouse Learning, and this is just going to be a little video going over why online tutoring is really good for different SEND students, SEN students, and if you're somebody who is a little bit wary of online tutoring for SEND, then hopefully this video will answer some questions and make you a little bit more comfortable proceeding with it. So we're just going to run through some of the misconceptions about online tutoring, linking it with SEND students, why online tutoring is actually a really good fit for some SEN students and why some find it a lot more engaging. And then we're going to run through how we're able to use Pencil to optimize our lessons and kind of adapt to different learning styles and different needs. And kind of talk about why it's a lot better than what was previously out there and available to us. So first of all, some misconceptions about online tutoring is that online tutoring is less engaging than in-person tutoring. Obviously, you can see why people would think that. You've got somebody coming around face to face, doing a lot of activities together, but especially with students who don't really react to that kind of thing, online tutoring can be a lot more less pressured situation for some students. We're going to get on that a little bit later. But also now, I think people do associate online tutoring with just being on Zoom, being on Teams, and somebody just reading through the information. Now, that is not engaging, and in person is a lot more engaging than that. But because of new technologies that we have available, all our tutors are really well trained in using Pencil. We're able to create really engaging lessons, utilizing all the stuff available to us that I'll go into a bit later, and make sessions that are probably a lot more engaging than in person. Lastly, is that it's not, or not lastly, the next is not suitable to SEN. And again, that's because people feel like SEN students, depending on ADHD, would really struggle to sit down for an hour. But that's not necessarily the case. I've tutored loads of ADHD, ASD students who do need a lot of movement breaks, and we're more than able to give that to them online. As long as they're able to be in hearing range of the laptop for me to shout them back, then we can overcome those things. And again, we can make really interactive tasks that would be like in-person tasks that you feel might not be possible online. And all those different things really help retaining attention. And also, we're just able to cater a lot more than if we had actual physical things because we can edit things a lot easier online and use those tools that we have available to us. Also, is that it's harder to learn online. Again, depending on your learning style, how you learn best, or the different needs you have, then in the past that would be true. But like I've said previously, we're able to change how we deliver different sessions depending on our students and create different tasks that fit their needs a lot better. And then also using a screen can be distracting. And yes, for some students that can be true. Luckily, Pencil Space has a very handy built-in thing where if a student is not on the right tab, it tells us, and we can quite quickly remind them to be on this screen. So for example, if they had the laptop open and they were just listening to us, but then on a different internet tab, it would just tell us that they're not on the tab and may be distracted. And so it's a good way that we can keep an eye on them like that. Okay, lastly, why is online tutoring good and why is it good for SEND students? So it can help with anxiety. I've had it a lot of times with in-person sessions where students are very closed off and they feel it's too much having somebody come in person. Online tutoring is a fantastic way to kind of ease students into tutoring because it's a lot less pressure. Nobody's coming into their space and they're still in their own space, which is really important. And I find that I can build just as good, if not a better connection sometimes online with students than if I was going in person. And then, like I sort of thought, students are in their own space. If you take students out to learn in different environments, which sometimes happens with online tutoring because of logistics, then you'd find that they're just not comfortable to it, and they don't feel like they can fully be themselves, so they're not fully engaged, distracted by other things. So the fact that with online tutoring, they're still in their own interrupted space really helps students engage. And then also they have more freedom. I feel like when somebody's coming in, they feel a lot more trapped in a sense. But now they can still go around, have their own breaks, do their own things if they feel like they need to, and then they can just come back to the session when they want to re-engage if they needed breaks. And then also we're able to use more games. and interactive resources. So obviously, if somebody's showing up in person, there's only a limited amount of things that they can have with them. I've had it loads of times where I've gone into sessions, prepared lots of stuff, and the student hasn't engaged with any of them. And I'm out of ideas, and I can't really do anything. I need to think of stuff on the fly. But by being online, we can very quickly have a whole load of things to our disposal to engage with students. And also, it doesn't waste paper, which is also a really big plus. So, any worksheets that I want, any games I want, I can find them online, put them onto the space, and it just gives the student a lot more variety, as I was going on to next. We can change it up every lesson if we want, and then there's just lots of different ways to keep the student engaged rather than having to come to the door, um, maybe having to buy new materials, or maybe just having to print out loads of different materials and you don't really know what's going to land. So this is a really good way of just having unlimited supply of things at your fingertips, which are very easy to implement. And we can go through some of those things later as well. And then how we can use pencil. So all our tutors know pencil inside out who tutor online, and they are fantastic at coming up with loads of different engaging ways to teach different learning styles and different SENs. So we can create different interactive games and tasks. So for very visual learners, or for maybe younger students, we can still create games and play them like we would in person as well. And then it's easy to adapt to different learning styles. Like I said, obviously, if somebody's more kinesthetic, likes playing games, like moving around, then we can still do that online. If they're a lot more visual, this is perfect. We can create lots of visual tasks. Even if they're more read-write, we can still have some of those classic strategies implemented. Um, and then also easy to adapt to students who may have hearing issues or visual issues, because obviously they can hear us online. We can transcribe everything that we're talking about. So it's a way of adapting to those different SENs. And then Pencil Space is really easy for students to understand and full of built-in resources. And like I said, when we're going over some of the stuff, I'll show you some of those things. But essentially, if you look at some of the other videos, you'll see that it's got a whole host of things down at the bottom for students to engage with. So it's not just the tutor who's in control of these, all the students do as well. They're able to put text boxes in, different shapes, sticky notes, whatever. So completing worksheet, completing tasks is fully on the system. They don't need to be doing it in their book or whatever and then showing the screen like in the old days. They can do it all fully on the laptop. And also, if we look in the corner, it's built in with so many different things for students to engage with, like embedding YouTube links if you want to have a video in the sessions. That's really easy to do. We've got timers, we've got stopwatches, we've got different games built in. And then also, at the top, there's different resource libraries, which is full of so many visual tools to help students in their learning. Tutors will never ever run out of things to have. And this is just what's built in. And then obviously we've got the whole of the online world to implement into the sessions as well. So let me just show you some of the stuff we could do. It's very easy to create stuff like this, which you thought might have only been able to do on certain websites or in person, where we can have little tasks. And don't get this wrong now, it's very easy for students to do those visual, physical tasks rather than having to write them down or rather than having to me explain things and go through. Stuff like this, we can have loads of. It only took me 30 seconds to build. And then we can have another one like this if we're loaning money. As you can see, I've made it so if you drag one, then there's still loads. So then we can put these into the different jars. And then again, it's just ways like this which make tutoring a lot more suitable for SEN students who need those visual stimuluses to be able to learn effectively, and we're able to build those tools really easily. And then lastly, playing games. Oh, I don't know what's happened there. There we go. A classic get to know me game. I start most of my sessions with these. And as you can see, we're able to roll a dice and play it just like we would in person with absolutely zero issue. Very engaging, very good at getting students talking. And again, we're able to do that online just as effectively, if not more, than we were in person, because I don't have to print this off and bring it with me. There's risk of it getting damaged. I forgot to bring my dice. None of that is an issue because it's all just here ready to go. Lastly, for older students, we can still have built-in work like this. We can still go through it together, talk through it, highlight through stuff, and then again, depending on the student's individual needs, I can adapt this to fit them really easily. And then lastly, if they're doing maths like algebra, we're able to go through PowerPoint presentation, and then we can go through the work together as well. We're able to go through the work together as well, reveal the answers. So hopefully this has eased concerns about some online learning, and you can see that we are really able to tailor and build sessions so flexibly and cater to a whole host of different SENs, a whole host of different needs. We're able to create those engaging games to suit different students. And also we have that flexibility, that ease of anxiety that some students need. Also, if we have SEN students who struggle, depending on certain things that happen throughout the day, it's very easy to cancel and rearrange online tutoring rather than, the tutor's already on their way and then you have to cancel. So the flexibility that comes with that, it makes life a lot easier. So if you have any other questions, feel free to get in touch, and I hope that's helped. Thank you.